Hi, I'm Dick Eydt with Bites by Eydt. We cater to exceptional clientele all up and down the eastern seaboard, from Manhattan to Greenwich, Nantucket, down to Florida, to Vero Beach, Boca Raton, and we're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We cook exceptional food for our clients, and we can do that for you and show you how to do it for your family and your guests. Today we're making one of our most famous Wolfgang Puck smoked salmon pizza. It's one of our fan favorites. It's what our clients love. And we'll make the smoked salmon. It will be a flatbread pizza with caramelized red onions, a schmear, and then we'll put the smoked salmon on top of that. And I'll show you how to make the schmear. So let's begin. Here we go. So baking steel is one of my sponsors. It's a wonderful product. I use it to make my pizzas, my flatbreads. I also use it when I want to sear salmon, or if I want to do the lamb chop lollipops. It is about anywhere from 1/3 of an inch to 1/2 inch thick. They have two different products, and it weighs about 22 pounds. So I put it in the oven, 45 minutes to an hour. It absorbs the heat at 450 degrees, and then you put the pizzas on it, and it absorbs and sucks the moisture out, so great, makes for a phenomenal crust. So I use this all the time. I probably have 5 of these that I use for all the parties that we do. It's heavy, it's awesome, and it's baking steel. It's out of Boston, Massachusetts. So I highly recommend these guys. I used to use a pizza stone, but it doesn't hold the temperature as well as the steel does. It's a phenomenal product. Totally recommend it. Baking steel. I buy this, I have a woman that makes my dough. You can buy this dough in a grocery store, and I don't use an entire pound of dough. I cut it into quarters and then I roll it out. So I make mine flatbreads and pizzas that has less carbs, 1/4 of the carbs, 1/4 of the cheese, but it has more of the ingredients. So it's like a skyscraper versus a thin pizza. So it's healthier for you and better for you, and it's very tasty. I use cornmeal as a way to add some more texture to the bottom of the pizza flatbreads, and it won't stick, and also it has good flavor to it. So I'll take this, cut it into quarters, and then with my KitchenAid and a roller, I'll roll it out. And I first start, when I roll it out on the 1 setting, and then I'll roll it out on the 2nd setting and make it relatively thin. It will rise up. I pound it down a little bit, but really the roller does all the work. Okay? So I'll put it through at a medium speed. So now we rolled it on the first time at the 1 level. We'll increase it to 2 and make it a little bit thinner. You don't want it too thin, but you don't want it too thick. Also, when you use the dough, you want it to be at room temperature. So this is the size of 1/4 of a dough. We'll put it in and we'll roll it. And there we go. So you can see it's it's not too thick, not too thin, and it's ready to go onto the baking steel. This is his probably most famous pizza flatbread that it's ever done. Spago, it's a staple there, and almost every chef that I know of has copied it because everyone loves it. So now we're gonna make the schmear. And the reason he made this pizza for his wife, Barbara Lazaroff, is because he wanted to replicate a lox and bagels. So we have the pizza, the flatbread is the bagel, and then the schmear and the onions and the lox. And it's a great combo. So the schmear, a little sour cream. Add a little mustard to it. I also like to add scallions and dill to it. You can add whatever you want as far as, you know, a schmear. You really can't go wrong with it. So I think that's enough scallions. Here's the dill. It smells so good. And then I like to add some red onions because we're gonna caramelize these also. So adding a few will help with the flavor and also the crunchiness. Mix it up. And there you go. You have a nice simple schmear that we're going to put onto the, it's just a flatbread pizza. And then we'll put the smoked salmon on top of that. Easy, simple, but another fan favorite. Okay, so now we're going to take out the flatbread. It's been in for about 7-8 minutes. You can see the nice coloring on the bottom, a nice crunch on the bottom. Press it down, and we're good to go. We'll take some onions. And put these on top. We'll put it back in the oven for a few minutes. Maybe 3-4 minutes tops. We'll take it out, put the schmear on, the smoked salmon, and we're good to go. So now the flatbread has been in the oven for about 6-7 minutes. It's developed a nice crust. We put the red onions in there to cook those off. Another way to go with it, instead of just putting it in the oven, is we can caramelize the onions. So once we take this out, we're then going to show how we caramelize the red onions. So here we go. So you can see the great coloring that we have on here. The onions are cooked, okay? So we'll put this off to the side. Then we'll caramelize onions is an alternative way to go. So what we'll do, again, with our friends from Calavita Olive Oil, we will caramelize these onions, and let's get this pot up to speed. I'll put enough extra virgin olive oil in there so it will coat it and provide a nice caramelization to it. To help with the caramelization process, we'll add some sugar and salt, sea salt, and then pepper. We'll cook it on one side, we'll cook it on the other side, and then we're ready to go. Okay, so onions are caramelizing on the bottom. You can hear the nice sizzle. We flip it over. It's getting there, but a little bit longer. Another couple of minutes, and you can see around the edges how it's starting to cook. So just a few more minutes on this side, flip it over, a few more minutes on that side, and you're good to go. When you caramelize these, you can also increase the amount of olive oil in there. Sometimes I make it so it's about an inch thick or so, and I do a bunch of batches. This oil is starting to smoke a little bit, so I turn down the heat, move it around, and you can see the nice coloring we have there. And flip it over. Another 5 minutes, and we're good to go. Okay? Another alternative how you can do it, either with the caramelized onions or just a roasted onion. I like the caramelized. I like sugar. I like sweetness. but it's up to you. There you go. Okay. So here we go. The last part of Wolfgang Puck's smoked salmon flatbread pizza with a schmear and red onions. We'll assemble it, we'll cut it, and then we'll plate it. So, the schmear, how much schmear do you want to put on there? Well, you can never have too much schmear in my mind. It really does make, we'll spread it out to all the edges because we're going to put the smoked salmon all over, and so there's no crust left. Salmon, how much salmon do you want to put on there? A lot of salmon, right? This is pre-cut salmon, so it's easy to use. I go over it about a halfway, so everyone gets a nice piece of smoked salmon in there. We need some over here, so I'll put a little bit over here, and another in the middle, and one more on this side. So you can see what a great visual it is. It's a lot of salmon, a lot of food. It's quite tasty. Now with the microphones here, you're going to hear a great crunch when we cut it. When people bite into it, they get a great crunch. And when I cut these, I make them into bite-sized pieces. So you can take it and plop it right into your mouth, and you can see the nice smear on there, plenty of smoked salmon. This is one of our fan favorites for the catering. Our clients love it. We use this as a hors d'oeuvre. We pass this around. We pass around all of our hors d'oeuvres so we can explain to people what it is, what's into it, how we made it, and it's also warm and fresh out of the oven. So you don't want to just set it out on a table and sometimes people eat it or they won't. We want to get it to them as soon as possible so they can enjoy it at the peak of freshness and heatness, and it's just it's a great dish. Okay, so we just finished making Wolfgang Puck's smoked salmon flatbread pizzas with the schmear and onions and also caramelized onions. And it's just a wonderful product, main course or mostly as a hors d'oeuvre. They'll love it. And I want to thank my Calavita olive oil, extra virgin, my Rugged Road, the bags are wonderful, and baking steel from Boston. Without that, you wouldn't have that nice crunch. It just makes all the difference in the world, and especially if you're catering like we do, we're making lots of these. You need a device, a baking steel that holds a temperature and that keeps on making the nice crunch. And it's all about the crunch.